One of the cooler Easter eggs in the new Red Dead Online Blood Money update, or in fact, any of the Red Dead Online updates. We don't really get that many Easter eggs in Red Dead Online. But we did in this Blood Money update. For those of you who've played the Bluewater Marsh multi-part mission, you'll know that there's something supernatural going on. The character Bluewater John is actually heavily influenced by Robert Johnson, or another blues guitarist called Tommy Johnson, who is no relation to Robert Johnson, but has this exact same myth around him. The reason I instantly thought it was Robert Johnson is Robert Johnson is more known for this particular myth, even though Tommy Johnson did come around a decade before him. I don't know why, but when people think of souls, devils, and blues, they think of Robert Johnson. I just wanted to give him a bit of a mention here also, just in case it was him they're paying homage to instead. But both artists were around in the early 1900s in Mississippi area. Another reason I'm pretty sure it's Robert Johnson they're paying homage to is because they even use the same hat that's in one of the only 3 verified photographs of Robert Johnson, so I'm pretty sure it's a safe bet that it's Robert. So the basic myth goes that Robert Johnson was a really good harmonica player but was a terrible guitarist. Then suddenly he just disappeared for a few weeks, and legend has it that he took his guitar to these crossroads, and on the crossroads he met the devil. And the devil told him that for exchange for his soul, he would let him play the best, meanest blues guitar that anybody would ever hear. The version I love the most is that the devil took the guitar off him and tuned the guitar for him, and ever since then that guitar could just wail. For those fellow blues fans among the community, you might have noticed that when you meet Bluewater Joe, you actually do meet him at the crossroads. There's also heavy symbolism with the snake, which snake often represents the devil in a lot of cultures. There's a couple of times where you turn your back on Bluewater John, and when you turn around, he's just vanished and all that's there is a snake. And it isn't coincidence either. I mean, if you listen to some of the mission givers, they'll even kind of nod to this. Sean McGuire is the most blatantly obvious if you get the second part of the mission from him. I'll give you a listen here.
You made the acquaintance of Bluewater John, did you? Quite a fella, eh? And if the stories are to be believed, he's quite a past behind him. Gang are supposed to left him for dead in the marsh. He came out a week later, different fella altogether. Made a deal, folks say. With who? That they leave unsaid.
If you get the third part of the mission from Joe, he'll also kind of nod to it as well. Possibly. It's a little bit more vague, but I'll let you make that decision.
Held out on you. You butchered all them boys and he was sitting on his stash the whole time. Still, you deal with the devil. What do you expect?
If you get the final part of the mission from Anthony Foreman, he'll also drop a little hint on what the backstory of Bluewater Joe might be.
I done some asking around. Seems everyone else reckons this thread ain't worth pulling. Folks say he deals in souls. Me? I don't much believe in souls. Question is, do you?
James Langdon also seems to be aware of these rumors, but he just dismisses them.
Surrounds himself with rumor and trickery.
So I think you'll definitely agree. There's definitely a nod towards what I think is either probably Robert Johnson, but could definitely be Tommy Johnson also. It is also possible that Bluewater John could be the devil himself. Maybe he took over the body of Bluewater John. It is strange that when he does his disappearing act, there is a snake there. Is that meant to be the devil transforming into a snake and slithering away? If you look closely at his eyes as well, at first I thought he was blind, but if you look really close, it does kind of look very snake-like. Joe does say, you make a deal with the devil, this is what happens, and also Anthony Foreman says he deals in souls. So what do you think? Do you think this is a character that sold his soul to the devil, or do you think this could represent the devil and that you are meeting the devil at the crossroads? And this is you starting your journey down the dark path. The snake definitely symbolizes Satan or the devil or something like that. And I also think it's very weird that there is a giant snake in single player that can be found just south of Pleasance. Of course, Pleasance itself has something weird that happened to it. If you check the gravestones outside the church, you will find that most people died in September 1883. I did hear this pretty far out theory that they thought it was a bunch of Satanists that killed the town on that day. And I think the crux of that theory was that they believed it was a satanic church because there was no cross or crucifix on the church. But of course, not all faiths and religions back then had crosses on their churches. So this was most likely like a Mormon church or something. They also linked it back to the giant snake, which is just south of the town. Again, linking it to the symbolism that is the devil, which there is definitely symbolism between the devil and the snake, but doesn't necessarily mean every snake in the game represents the devil. But I think with Bluewater John, it's definitely a safe bet that that's what they were going for. And it's just so weird that there is a giant snake around that area also. I think not adding the giant snake as a legendary animal in the Naturalist role was definitely a missed opportunity. That would be an awesome legendary to catch in the wild. But overall, I just think that this area of the game itself over near the marsh and stuff just does lend itself to all of this like lore and supernatural mysteries and stuff, so it is cool. And I really like that they added that online as well. It's very big in the game, so I'd really like to see other little things like that getting added and sprinkled into the online version as well. I would have loved to actually show you a clip of some of the music from Robert Johnson. In Europe, it's actually in the public domain because the artist died over 70 years ago, but in America, someone still holds on to the rights, so there could be actually some issues with that. So you can search it up if you want to check it out, but it is this really, really haunting sound because it's like a really old recording. And to me, it's just the pinnacle of those dark blues from the back in the day. Sadly, Johnson had a rough life as well, unfortunately, and he actually died at the age of 27, which some of you might know is this weird number that a lot of really big rock stars and musicians die at. You had Kurt Cobain from Nirvana who died at 27, Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. There's a huge list of the 27 members club, which again just adds to this whole mystique and lore around the whole thing. Definitely worth checking out if you're into the blues. I'd also like to add here that the voice actor and the songwriter of the song used in the game for Bluewater Joe is actually a blues artist called Christone Kingfish Ingram. And if you clicked on this video because you're just a blues fan and you knew this Easter egg already yourself, you can check out his album, which is called 662, and you can find it in most platforms. This isn't sponsored, by the way. I just thought if you're into the blues, you might be interested in checking out this artist. I believe the song in the game is actually an original that he wrote for the game itself. So that is the background and the Easter egg of Bluewater Joe. Let me know in the comments what you think of this Easter egg, and would you like to see more Easter eggs kind of like this in the game? Single player is full of stuff like this, but it isn't something that we see a lot online, so I definitely just wanted to make a short video just to let people know about it. If you like this kind of content and you'd like to see more of it, why not consider subscribing? It's free. Make sure that you get the videos as soon as I upload. Thanks as always to the members, and I'll catch you all in the next video.